Winning teams in March have a lot of things in common, and this is Coach Adams talking to you. One, they're distraction free. They're just worried about surviving and advancing. Two, they are able to play multiple defenses, especially the ability to guard without help. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today are our cavalcade of stars to help us talk about the NCAA tournament. First and foremost, our favorite administrator, Robert Abney. Robert, how are you this evening, sir?
I am, as always, sir, I am living the dream. Been watching basketball all weekend. Can't ask for anything better, man.
Oh, yes, indeed. And one of my all-time favorite coworkers and women's basketball coach extraordinaire for the younger audience, Mr. King. Mike, how you doing, sir?
I am better than my bracket.
Join the club there. And Captain for life, Will Cotton, how are you, sir?
I'm great. How's it going? Great weekend.
Oh, yes. All right. So on this Thursday, Throwdown Thursday edition in segment one, we're going to recap kind of the advice we gave and see how good it was. Segment two, we're going to talk about the actual things going on in terms of the coaching hires, fires, and suggestions we'll make. And in segment three, we're going to preview the Sweet 16 because it drops on Thursday, and let's just get at it. So winning teams in March have a lot of things in common, and this is Coach Adams talking to you. One, they're distraction free. They're just worried about surviving and advancing. Two, they are able to play multiple defenses, especially the ability to guard without help. You're able to guard without help, you're going to win a lot of playoff games. Three, you've got offensive flexibility because you're playing teams that you generally don't play. So if you have some flexibility in how you play offense, that helps. And then four, secondary guys becoming primary. In other words, shot makers, what you want, instead of shot takers. So I say that to say, folks, we told you there was going to be some teams that disappoint you and stay away from them. And Purdue was the number one team I'd mentioned. So none of us called them losing to FDU. We will not say that. But all year, Mike, myself, and the rest of the crew talked about them damn guards. Okay? We talked about it all year. Fowler and Robert got yelled at on many occasions by text this year. Come on, man. So, Robert, start me off. What the devil? You lost to FDU? Come on, man. What are you thinking about Purdue, Robert?
That is the biggest upset in the NCAA, in the history of the NCAA.
I'm going to still take UMBC beating UVA by 20.
FDU was not even ranked in the top 300 in the net.
Nope.
And
Didn't even been there.
And they didn't win their conference tournament because Merrimack won the conference tournament, and they were not eligible because it's either their first or second year Division I. And I mean, it's gonna be a shocker if FAU and FDU are playing right now as we speak. I'll be shocked if that game is single digits. The line was 16, I think, before the game started. Just there's no excuse for that. Zach Edey didn't take a shot in the last 9 minutes of the game. Your best player.
Player of the year.
Player of the year, Matt Painter, probably, I don't know if he won Big Ten Coach of the Year. Maybe he should have, but you'd think somewhere in that playbook he might have a high-low. I don't know.
Mike King, you are a Maryland alum and watched a lot of Big Ten basketball. Come on, man. Talk to me, because this dude lost to FDU.
Have you seen have you seen their gym? You seen like where they play their home games? It looks worse than every high school that I've ever been to, and they beat Purdue. I mean, that's amazing. I like the coach. He's not the best speaker, but gave that good speech to the kids, which was.
Doesn't matter.
And he said, "I don't care if they hear it. We're going to beat them." You must have been watching all the Purdue's games the last few weeks where they're barely beating all these other average Big Ten teams. So good for them.
Yep.
All right, Will, you played for me. You're my captain for life. What's going on at Purdue, man?
Oh man, they got to figure some soul searching. They got to figure out what they want to do. But FDU, man, let me tell you, man, that's all they did, man. That's their tournament. They have 2 champions now. It's the 16s is one, and then whoever wins the tournament. But it was great, man. So Purdue, never liked them really my entire life as a strong team. Always like pretty good, but you could have picked a little better teams.
They lost to a 13, a 14, and a 15 seed. I'm sorry, is it 13,
16.
15, and a 16 or so?
Yeah.
So they lose to the people they got no bit. Did they lose to St. Peter's last year?
The last 3 years, they've lost to, I think it was a 16. Was it a 16, 14, 13? Whatever it is, it's the kind of stuff that gets a coach fired.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, 3 straight years and you lose to double-digit seeds.
Yeah.
And high double-digit seeds.
Yeah.
Not 10.
All right, I'm done with Purdue this year. So let's talk about Virginia. Okay. Virginia won the Natty. They lost to UMBC, and what I thought was the worst loss because they were the number 1 seed overall. So they were playing the last blasted team that they put in. Outside of that tourney championship run, they lose a lot in the early rounds. They do. And I love UVA. I love Tony Bennett, but he ain't got no scores. He ain't got nobody put the ball in the bucket. And wow. So at least they won the Natty. Am I being too hard on them or? Because I like them, but they lose, but they won the Natty. So he's got that forever.
You got to score buckets to win, man. I mean, it's great to be stop the offense, but if you don't score, you ain't going to win. And eventually, it's way to get easier in offense than it is on defense. You started getting hot. All of a sudden, guys who shouldn't be hitting threes, getting fouls. You're playing with water and fire. So, I mean, it's just something, they, like you said, no fire, bring it's crazy, went to a knife to a gunfight. You know what I'm saying? Weren't ready to prepare themselves. And you think they would have learned? Do you think they would have learned, like, we need to score. We can't we can get at least a guy who can shadow guard someone and just shoot,
I need a bucket, baby. I need a bucket.
And you're in Virginia. I mean, there's scores all around in high school. You can bring a kid in already.
Yeah, they do have a few academic expectations.
Oh, yeah, I get it, but
I said a few, Mike. Go ahead, Mr. King.
You think after the national championship, you could start recruiting people who could give you the defense and maybe also score because those players exist. So you can find a little bit of a best of both worlds. But yeah, Virginia losing in the first round outside of the national championship seems to be a theme.
Robert, what do you think, sir?
I mean, the way they play kind of lends itself to that. Playing close games a lot. They play a lot of close games because they focus on playing defense. And somebody gets hot, comes back to bite you in the butt, and that's what happens in the tournament. They run into somebody who gets hot for a little while, and off they go.
All right, so now I want to give my boy Robert a little props there. Told the people about San Diego State. Robert, how far do you think San Diego State can go, sir?
I would love when you get to the Sweet 16, I mean, anything can happen. They're certainly capable of winning their next game. They have some guys who can shoot the three, but they do play a similar style, kind of Virginia. They play man defense. They get after you. They body people up. They're really physical. They've got dudes, man. They got big, strong guys, and they get after you. Could they win a game, make it to the Elite Eight? Yeah. Could they get run by 25? Yeah. It's hard to say, man. I don't know.
All right, Mike, I gotta come to you.
Who are they playing? Let me look. I got to see who they're playing. I don't even know.
Who's San Diego State?
Yeah.
Alabama.
Ooh, they can guard Alabama. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can score enough to beat them, but they can guard them.
All right, we'll actually do that breakdown in segment 3. But Mike, Arizona disappointed both of us. What the heck happened with Arizona? Talk to me, sir.
I think I had them in the.
Final four.
I think I have them in the final.
Yeah. So what happened?
I mean, I thought Arizona being disappointing me for brackets would have ended with Sean Miller. I guess I have to learn from my Arizona mistakes because I always have them going far, and they always don't. So I got to reevaluate.
Will, Marquette disappointed all of us. What happened? They were in it, and then it was over.
They got too comfy, man. At the Big East tournament when they played St. John's, I mean, they just didn't play like a team that plays a complete game. You know, you play 10-minute spurts. But they just don't play a complete game. You know, they let bad teams stay in it, and then that bit them in the butt. So.
And Robert, to close us out, Kansas let us down again. I had an opportunity to talk to my Hood College brethren, our head coach, Tom Dickman, and my main man, Amante Hill. A great season at Frederick High this year. Should be one of the coaches of the year. But TD, as we like to call Tom, got kicked out of a couple of games or something happened. And Tay and myself both had to fill in for the boss. And both Tay and I were 1-0 as college coaches at Hood College. So when I'm watching Norm Roberts, and I know Will's not the biggest fan of Norm Roberts, I didn't really want to hear about Bill Self. I'm a former assistant coach, of course. This is supposed to be our job, and if the boss is out, we step up. So, Robert, tell me what happened, man, because you're still not supposed to lose that game.
They shouldn't lose that game. And one of your jobs when you're a head coach, when you're a leader, is you prepare other people for that opportunity. And for whatever reason, he didn't step up. They weren't ready, because that's a game they should win. I mean, Kansas is good enough that even if they don't play their best, they should win that game. But for whatever reason, they weren't ready, and that falls on the coaches.
Yeah, I think that is well said, sir. So when we get back, we're going to talk about coaches and who's staying, who's going, who's coming, who should come, who should not come. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 2. Got to get this aside out before we talk about coaching moves. Academics and athletics seem to be at some odds right now. I think the academic people need to fully embrace the NCAA tournament because, again, for some reason, there's a widening gap between the academic and athletic departments. The schools who get this right can, dare I say, find a better balance between academics and athletics. It is oftentimes that your athletic team is people that you see first. Um, so kudos to Gonzaga, who utilized their NCAA tournament success 20, 30 years ago to stay open because Gonzaga was going to close, folks. UConn, there's nothing in stores. But the basketball team gets on the run, both the men and the women. Now you had your football team trying to get bigger, and then they realized, you know what? Let's just be independent and be a basketball school again. George Mason used that Final Four trip to get themselves to the A10, and that's more money. Same thing with VCU, Florida Gulf Coast, St. Peter's, FDU, Fairleigh Dickinson. Use this opportunity, work together, folks, and let's not be fighting with each other. Robert, as the other administrator on the team, any thoughts about that widening gap for some reason between academics and athletics and not using this opportunity as free advertising for your school?
Well, no, I mean, that's what it is. And it's the same. I mean, let's be honest, it's the same thing with high schools. The perceptions that people have in a city or a state about high schools, they start with this. A lot of times they start with the success of the athletic teams, because if that's what people see. And when people see, you know, FDU is going to have an uptick in enrollment just because they won a game in the NCAA tournament. You know, St. Mary's, I'm sure, has had some success in terms of recruiting students because they get to the NCAA tournament every year. You already mentioned Gonzaga, but there are schools that are going to have some success with that. And I why would you not capitalize on that in this day and age where there are more choices than ever for everybody virtually, which you and I both know because of our connection with GCU, all of these different connections. Why would you not utilize those?
Yeah, and I got Will Cotton here. Fans, Will, it's not a joke. He's captain for life. And his senior year, we made a tremendous run to the state final in the last game Will was a part of. It's about 13,000 people in the school we were at. Hadn't done a lot in about a decade. And at that game, it was literally like the community was having a reunion, meaning people who hadn't seen each other in years came together because those young men and our management staff and everybody had a heck of a run. Will, any thoughts on that before we move to the coaching piece? Because I think that was an incredible piece that we did bring the community together to root for us.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like Robert said, there's a lot of people that remember, even though we didn't win. I mean, there was a whole, I think 2 or 3 championships that went behind us. So there was a lot of momentum behind Springbrook, especially having that community that people had, because people had that belief that, oh, we're right here. So it was really good. It was really good. Academics, people, it's supposed to be hand in hand. It's supposed to be hand in hand. But sometimes people get clouded. Some people get lazy. Some people get, complacent with their schools, and they don't want to continue with their academic kind of work on it, kind of that. It's come home. It's like, oh man, you got a game. Like, yeah, but you're the math teacher. You're the English teacher. Why are you so hyped about the football game? Like, I think they lose what it's supposed to mean. But hey, winning cures everything, man. If anything, you can at least fix things and have a chance if you're winning. If you start losing, then you see the cracks. Is when people are like, "Oh, this kid failed, and now kid da 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 da." So,
and Mike King, as a teacher, you haven't had a lot of winning seasons before you switch schools, but the one time that we did have a winning season at that school, a lot of energy, a lot of buzz. Any thoughts about that before we transition in terms of this widening gap between academics and athletics?
I was thinking what Robert was saying about the school enrollment once you start winning. I remember my first year at Maryland, they were coming off a Final Four. That's not why I went to the school, but like I wouldn't have got into the school the next year because the academic piece went up because so many more people want to go to Maryland because they just got to a Final Four. So I got in. I wouldn't have got in the next year, which is after they won the championship, because GPAs just it shot up, and I think directly related to basketball.
All right. So now,
Football
go
was
ahead.
good at that time too.
Yeah,
Brigham was there. They were
Orange
still
Bowl,
pretty
too.
good.
Yeah.
All right. So now, folks, we're going to talk some coaching moves in segment 2. We're not going to get through everything, but there are a couple of jobs that I kind of want to have that conversation with, starting with Georgetown. They are courting Ed Cooley from Providence. Providence played like a team who was going to lose their coach. They didn't look very good, and he looked quite conflicted. Providence is where Ed Cooley's from. He's a former Big East Coach of the Year. He's a former National Coach of the Year. I am sure, and I have read reports that Providence is going to offer him as much as they can. But fans, this will probably be wrapped up by the time you hear this, because this can't prolong very much so. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Will, I want to ask you about St. John's of Patino. As somebody who went to St. John's and was just in New York City, I hope you had a good time.
Oh yeah.
Any thoughts about Patino going back to the Garden, this time as a member of the St. John's basketball staff?
My father actually very excited. He hit me up on text. He was like, "Rick Pitino's coming to St. John's. You heard it here. You heard it here." But people have to remember, like, Rick Pitino had a lot of dirt behind him that put him into Iona anyway. A lot of things. I won't go into that, but do some Google would be about Rick Pitino and see what he's done. I just think, as the Jesuit school, bringing in a guy like that with a kind of track record, who actually 2 years before, not year, a year before I even went to St. John's, Mark Jarvis's team got in trouble with the same thing. Remember, they had the woman in the go see the article, go to Google to see it. But that was the same thing, and then it was a hard time to recruit for years. And I know St. John's wants to get back. They want to get back. That there's opportunity to win in the Big East because we don't really have a Bigfoot or a monster that's killing us every year. I just hope morally, man, they made the right choice and they don't have it come back and bite them in the butt.
But isn't he coming with a billionaire for the NIL deals? Mike, what if Mike were
Dude, I'm telling you, man, and he's a my way or my way or the highway kind of guy. He's not gonna So I'm just hoping, man, St. John's, please don't embarrass, man. Don't end us, the alums.
It's gonna be embarrassing. He's gonna come he's coming with an Aaron Rodgers like list of, I want this billionaire, and this billionaire is gonna give money, and we're gonna get money from this billionaire.
Yeah, man, it's just like he had the issue with the 100,000 at the other school, just some other egregious kind of things that you're like, like this is. So I just hope, man, just don't embarrass my team, don't embarrass my school, and if you're gonna win hard, man.
All right, so Robert, we set you up early, so you're not taken aback. But Texas, they're on an incredible run, but they're about to go to the Southeast Conference, and Texas tends to like name. So although I believe Rodney Terry is coaching his heart out and coaching and winning, do you really think they're going to give him the gig, or will they try to coax Calipari or some other name to help them transition to the SEC? What say you, sir?
If they make it to the Final Four, I don't know how they could not hire him, right? And yes, Texas likes names. Texas is also really it's been a place where historically Black coaches have struggled.
Well said.
Charlie Strong, when he was a football coach, he had a hard time. I mean, they had Shaka Smart.
Yeah.
Shaka Smart is a great basketball coach, but he struggled at Texas. And he's at Marquette now. And yeah, they lost today. But I mean, he's going to have success at Marquette. So it's interesting to see what that's. I don't have a good answer for that because I don't know how they don't give him the job if they make the Final Four. If they make if they don't make the Final Four, if they make it, I think they'll hire him. If they don't make it, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I don't think John Calipari is. I've never thought very much of John Calipari. I've never cared for him. I don't think he's all that. I get you're going to the SEC and you want a name coach. But there's only so many people who have a name big enough for the University of Texas, which in case you haven't heard it about Texas, it's like a whole other country.
Yes. So look, let's talk about Calipari in Texas. He's only won one title at Kentucky.
Mhm.
And Kentucky's crazy about basketball, and they have no pro teams to distract him or anything like that.
Mhm.
So, just like Shaka Smart kind of read the room and said, hey, I'm going to Wisconsin, don't you think Mike King, who's my guy here, that Calipari's looking around like, didn't they lose today? Does he try to heavens to Murgatroyd exit stage left? Mike, what do you think, sir?
Wherever he goes, it's gonna be the same thing. You're gonna get really good recruits, and you're gonna lose. I mean, like that's been from what UMass. Was it UMass on?
He was at UMass. Marcus Camby.
Yeah,
Those kids can play.
He always gets players. He's never look around the NBA. He's got tons of players. One championship. Anthony Davis, one championship. Like, get Anthony Davis in college. I mean, come on. Who name for me in college basketball names? There's so few names,
And they're all
unless
retiring.
you're like really into it. Like for the average person, there's like 3 or 4 names. Who cares about a name? Get someone who's good and young and is going to stay there and build something.
All right. So with that, fans, in segment 3, our predictions are terrible, but we're gonna see who's actually gonna win. We'll be right back on the iCoaches Podcast.
The CKA SAVE Project is an industry leader in advocating for student-athlete academic and athletic needs. Through academic and athletic enrichment, the CKA SAVE Project is on the forefront of the issues facing 21st century student-athletes. As student-athletes continue to struggle to find a better balance between academic and athletic success, the CKA SAVE Project offers academic and athletic services to support student-athlete academic success, including academic skills assessment, academic and athletic consulting, academic monitoring, academic and athletic workshops. For more information or to schedule a free consultation, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the iCoaches Podcast in segment 3. We're going to get you ready for the Final Four. So, Sweet 16 matchup. Alabama is playing San Diego State. Robert, you think San Diego State has a chance to win, but more likely than not, Alabama's going to take care of it. Is that what you got?
That's kind of how I feel. I think San Diego State can guard them. I just don't know if they can score enough.
Mike, what do you think about Alabama, San Diego State? Because we're not going to do each of the games, but
Yeah. Is the game
Alabama? I have no idea where the game is. I don't have 0.5 here.
There's one thing I'll say. They're going to find San Diego State's best player, and they're going to find fouls. They're going to find him quick. Reese was like this. The guy took his arm and threw him down. They're like, foul 2. What? But he was playing so foul 2. Okay.
More.
Mike is a Maryland alum, fans. All right, Will, what do you think about Alabama, San Diego State?
I mean, they played. I forgot what they played last, but they played tough the last couple games. They lost it at the end, obviously, just physicality, man. Just the guys were just kind of, So I mean, they're beatable. They'd have to be careful, man. They're not going to win just like the same recipe they had last game. So they have to do something different, change it, surprise people, and if people know what you're going to do, if you're coming out and you're going to punch people in the mouth, maybe trying to want to hide that a little bit. Because, if you tell people you're going to punch them, they're going to duck. So,
Well,
The line is just purely for entertainment purposes.
yes, indeed.
The line is San Diego State +7.
Ouch. Okay. Well, fans, congratulations to Princeton. Well done, well played. I'm very impressed with what they did, making it this far, especially being as old as they are. You win a lot of games when you're old. They're going to play either Creighton or Baylor, and it looks like it's going to be Creighton. So I'm going to just push it into the earth and say Creighton Blue Jays and Princeton. I'll probably go with Creighton in that. Fellas, anybody going with Princeton, or will it be Creighton? Because I'm checking my phone now.
Great.
Enjoy the week of stories. I'm sure they will kick back Bill Bradley and the 1962 whatever. But yeah,
I hear a lot about Pete Carrill. Yep.
Love Pete Carrill. Love that guy, and played the Georgetown game. They should have won that one. All right. Tennessee will play Florida Atlantic because there's no way FDU is going to beat them. Florida Atlantic's good, and Tennessee still can't shoot jumpers. Do we smell an upset, or will Tennessee make it to the Elite Eight?
Tennessee.
Yep.
I hyped it all up, and it's
I still like FAU, man. I just
right, Rob.
I don't know. I just don't. Tennessee obviously can guard people. I still don't know how they're scoring.
All right, Arkansas and UConn. I root for UConn because a former student at Gaithersburg High School, and I was there for 4 years. Jordan Hawkins is there. Lovely young man. Ended up graduating from DeMatha, and .5 will be attending DeMatha in the fall. Go Stags. Arkansas. First of all, the Musselman kid can coach. All right, he's not a kid. His dad coach. This is a coaching lifer, as we like to say. He's coaching the NBA. He's coaching college. So they're gonna have a chance to win because he's going. If he calls timeout, Will, I'm like nervous. Oh my goodness. I don't know what we're playing zone coming out of timeout. Just we're not playing man. You're not running me off 6 screens. Who do we have? UConn or Arkansas? Mike King, who do you have?
Go Arkansas.
Arkansas. Robert.
UConn looked real good today, man. And yes, Musselman is a good coach.
He's
but
a coach, man.
hey,
He's at Nevada winning.
X's and O's. X's is you gonna worry about X's and O's or Johnny's and Joe's?
I think their talent is comparable, actually. I think their talent is comparable. SEC was good this year. Big East was kind of. Will, who you going with?
Well, man, I'm Big East all day, baby. UConn, let's go.
All right, until I see the text message and say, "Hey, coach, I'm going to play this."
Yeah,
I'm going to adjust the spread and make up some stuff that I don't even know about. I'm going to go UConn too, but yeah. All right, UCLA versus the winner of TCU and Gonzaga. That game has not been played as we're taping, so I ain't going to worry about it. Kansas State, shout out to Dr. Lisa Rubin, good friend of mine, and I hope I see you at the N4A conference. Kansas State, we did a profile on them this year and their new coach, and they're doing really well. But as Mike said between segments, Michigan State and Tom Izzo, they just find ways to win this time of year. Mike, are you still going Michigan State, or are you going to go K-State?
I'm going to go Michigan State just because, again, I've watched Big Ten basketball all year. I can't name one person on Michigan State, but here they are in the Sweet 16, like always, because they got Izzo. There's very few college coaches that are names. He's a name. Doesn't matter what 3- and 4-star recruits he's got. He's going to beat your 5-star recruits. I'm going him.
All right, Will, what do you think?
I like Michigan State, man. Get them rolling. And I was looking at what was the coach's name? I forgot. Michigan State again. The coach
Tom Izzo?
Tom Izzo. Yeah, they just won. They beat USC, and he just had like a sparkle in his eye, man. Like he was really having fun again. So I really think they're gonna have really good. Well, they're gonna win. So pick Michigan State.
All right, Robert, what about you, sir?
Yeah, I think they're rolling right now. They're rolling right now. It wouldn't shock me at all to see them make the Final Four.
All right, Xavier, Texas. Shout out to James Schneider, my former summer league coach and my mortgage broker. He and his family, his dad, who passed away a few years ago, they were all Xavier fans, and I always root for them, but not this time. So Xavier will be playing Texas. I'm rooting for Rodney Terry to get this job that he's not going to get, but I'm going to keep pushing for him. So anyway, Will, who's going to win, Xavier or Texas?
Oh man, I mean my bracket is done, so I hope Xavier wins. I hope they beat him.
Sean Miller's a cheater.
Exactly.
A cheater. Come on. I don't care. Mike, what do you think?
Going Texas.
Just go Texas. Robert, you've got to go Texas by
I'm
contract.
an hour from Austin, baby. Hook 'em horns.
You have to go Texas by contract. And Houston versus the winner of Miami, Indiana, because the game's not going to be played before we play. Robert already had Houston anyway, so there you go.
Yep.
All right. So, Mike, any final thoughts since your bracket is busted as we get ready to close this episode, sir?
This was a year where there wasn't really a that one team that you go, wow, and it's a tournament where anything could happen. And I think the fact that there's been so many broken brackets is because what we said last week. It's a year of meh. It's a year of pretty good.
Okay. Will, any final thoughts, sir?
I love it. It's been fun. It's been fun. The Blue Bloods are not out here just doing their thing, getting different teams out here, getting exposure. It's been fun. And I'm not even really a big fan of college basketball on the regular season because it does not look very good. So it's been good. The kids are actually they're playing pretty well. They're not playing too crazy on the outside of Purdue, but it's been fun.
All right, Robert, what about you, sir?
As much as I love to win bracket challenges and all that stuff. I am always rooting for chaos. So
and you are winning.
The more lower the lower the seed, the more I'm rooting for you. Let's have a 7 seed win the Natty. I'm down. Let's go.
All right, and finally for me, fans. My bracket is all torn up anyway. But I want to make my last comments to the women's game. Looking pretty good. South Carolina's doing its thing. LSU and Virginia Tech. I hadn't seen Duke play yet, and if I did, I missed it. But South Carolina, LSU, and Virginia Tech all look good. Again, I hope Duke's still in the tournament, but the women's game goes over till Monday, so we can't do anything with that. So on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, and our cavalcade of stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the iCoaches podcast, and we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care. And again, it's all strictly for entertainment purposes only. See you next time.
The iCoaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing ckA@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.